Start. The Secretary General, United Nations submitted draft guidelines for consumer protection to the Economic and Social Council UNESCO in 1983. Stop. The General Assembly of the United Nations, upon extensive discussions and negotiations among governments on this scope and content thereof, adopted the guidelines which inter alia provide for the following para. Taking into account the interests and needs of consumers in all countries, particularly those in developing countries, recognizing that consumers often face imbalances in economic terms, educational level, and bargaining power, and bearing in mind that consumers should have the right of access to non-hazardous products, as well as the importance of promoting just, equitable and sustainable economic and social development, these guidelines for consumer protection have the following objectives. Stop para. It seeks to provide for better protection of the interests of consumers and for the said purpose, to make provision for the establishment of consumer councils and other authorities for the settlement of consumer disputes and for matters connected therewith, as would appear from the statement of objects and regions of the Act. Stop. The object of the legislation, as the preamble of the Act proclaims, is for better protection of the interests of consumers. Stop. During the last few years preceding the enactment, there was in this country a marked awareness among the consumers of goods that they were not getting their money's worth and were being exploited by both traders and manufacturers of consumer goods. Stop. The need for consumer redressal fora was, therefore, increasingly felt. Stop. Understandably, therefore, legislation was introduced and enacted with considerable enthusiasm and fanfare as a path-breaking benevolent legislation intended to protect the consumer from exploitation by unscrupulous manufacturers and traders of consumer goods. Stop. A three-tier fora comprising the district forum, the state commission and the national commission came to be envisaged under the Act for redressal of grievances of consumers. Stop. To begin with the preamble of the Act, which can afford useful assistance to ascertain the legislative intention, it was enacted to provide for the protection of the interest of consumers. Stop. Use of the word protection furnishes key to the minds of makers of the Act. Stop. Various definitions and provisions which elaborately attempt to achieve this objective have to be construed in this light without departing from the settled view that a preamble cannot control otherwise plain meaning of a provision. Stop. In fact, the law meets long felt necessity of protecting the common man from such wrongs for which the remedy under ordinary law for various reasons has become illusory. Stop.